Footman 2, or Footman 2. What was the deal with the popularity of pouches on superheroes in the 90s? I think it's pretty simple. I think that the number of pouches was almost a direct correlation to how little talent the artist had. So the more pouches on a character, the less understanding of how to draw anatomy the artist had. Because pouches and belts and straps and wristbands and armbands, they all will help the artist artificially create form, but they don't know how to do that with just a strict anatomical drawing. They can't draw an anatomical drawing with convincing form, and so they use these. I mean, look, he's got wristband, he's got these gloves, he's got a knee pad. You don't have to draw the knee. All this stuff that he's got on him helps give him form, but it's the stuff he has on him giving him the form. Look at the body. The body doesn't really seem to have all that much form. It doesn't seem to make a whole lot of sense. The chest looks flat. It doesn't look like a three-dimensional object, and yet all the stuff he's wearing does, and it helps describe that. Now, there used to be a cheat in, like, you see it a lot in the 70s. It used to annoy the hell out of me. You'd have newbie artists show up, and they would put pleats on clothing just to help give the clothing form. And you would see these jackets with pleated collars that didn't exist in real life. I mean, jackets, especially on like police officers and security guards, they would have these broad pleated collars. And it was because they didn't know how to draw a collar. It's like you would see, cars that look like shoeboxes with wheels because these artists had not learned how to draw cars. This is a bad stretch in comic book art, but this is what you do. I mean, because if you can't draw an unadorned figure, then you got to cover it up with stuff. If your understanding of anatomy is not such that you can just draw a dynamic figure without covering. Now, I understand Green Arrow has pouches on here, but he actually has a reason for it. But those pouches are not to give that figure form. That figure has form. Look at it. Three-dimensional form using shadow and contrast and understanding of what a human body looks like and how it works. So, a lot of these details and gewgaws and everything else were to cover up deficiencies in artwork. But I got to hand it to Rob Liefeld. At least he has a sense of humor because he created this character, Pouch, which is a character apparently entirely created of pouches. God only knows what's in them. We never did get to see what's in them. In fact, in a lot of these things, you'd see this enormously huge guy with big gorilla fingers, and you have these tiny little pouches on a band around his arm, and you couldn't even imagine what's he keeping there, like a Q-tip, and how does he open it? How does his fingers get around that tiny little snap on that tiny little pouch to even get it open, let alone get his fingers inside the pouch to retrieve whatever the contents are? But anyway, that's it for pouches, and that's it for me this week.